What's up, everybody? Welcome to day number 2 of the Proverbs 31 Educator Experience. If you are new here, if this is your first day joining us, this is day number 2. Yesterday, we talked all about knowing your worth as a woman of faith, as a woman, period, and not allowing anybody to say that you are less than. Okay. Now, I know I'm a little bit later than usual. In full transparency, I am somebody's mama, and my oldest son is so active in all that it is that he desires to do and all that he does. He's always like in something, and I'm like, sir, slow down. And he doesn't listen. He don't listen at all. And so he had rehearsal this evening. So I dropped him off and with traffic and nobody answered the door ever. So here we are, but we are here. And I am so excited to be here with you this evening for day 2 of the Proverbs 31 Educator Experience. Today, we are going to dive all the way in and talk about trusting the process, okay? Because I know that as an educator, I know as a woman of faith what it feels like when you just feel stuck, okay? You feel like you cannot see any progress in your life. You feel like, oh, you have all these dreams, all these things that you desire to do. However, nothing is coming to fruition. And it's really easy to get frustrated. And it's really easy to want to throw in the towel when all of this starts happening. So we're going to talk about that this evening. Our core idea for tonight is this. As a Proverbs 31 educator, I need you to be secure and I need you to be confident, okay? We talked about killers of confidence yesterday. But I need you to be confident not only in who you are, but I need you to be confident in who God is and who he says he is and all the things that he says that you can have them. I need you to be confident in the fact that things are working out in your favor. I also want to add this little bit to our core idea for the evening is that we know as Proverbs 31 educators, people can trust us, but I need you to keep working in your waiting season. As you are working, as you are not seeing things come into fruition in the way that you desire to see them come to fruition, I need you to keep going. Don't give up. Don't stop. Because with the way that providence occurs in our lives, we may not be able to see it happening, but God is making it happen. All right, let's dive in. And so I want to dive in with our scripture for the evening. I'm going to go back one slide. Our scripture for this evening is going to come from Proverbs 31, 11 through 12, 25, and 30. So I am going to go ahead and read this scripture to you, but if you have a Bible, whether it be on your phone or it be a physical Bible, here's mine. I want you to read this along with me, okay, if you can. So again, we're coming from Proverbs 31, 11 and 12, then verse 25, and then we're going to pick up verse 30. So let's dive into it. Verse 11 says, "The heart of her husband trusts in her with secure confidence, and he will have no lack of gain. She comforts, encourages, and does him only good and not evil all the days of her life." I'm going to read those two again, and then I'm going to jump over to 25. and 30. The heart of her husband trusts in her with secure confidence, and he will have no lack of gain. She comforts, encourages, and does him only good and not evil all the days of her life. Verse 25 says, strength and dignity are her clothing, and her position is strong and secure. I want you to remember that. I'm going to read it again. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and her position is strong and secure. And she smiles at the future, okay? Knowing that she and her family are prepared. And finally, verse 30, charm and grace are deceptive. Excuse me. And superficial beauty is vain. But a woman who fears the Lord, reverently worshiping, obeying, serving, and trusting him with all filled respect, she shall be praised. I'm going to read I read verse 25 twice, so I'll read verse 30 again as well. Charm and grace are deceptive and superficial. Beauty is vain. But a woman who fears the Lord, reverently worshiping, obeying, serving, and trusting him with all filled respect, she shall be praised. So those are our scripture references for this evening. Again, we are coming from Proverbs 31, 11 through 12, 25, and 30. So let's dive in. Here are our objectives for this evening. Let me gotta put the slideshow back up. Here are our objectives for the evening. We're going to talk about reframing fear using the 6 steps to reframe fear, or to fuel friendships is actually what the article is called. And then we're going to talk about some bold actions that you need to take so that you can step boldly in faith this week. Actually, today, not just this week, today. All right. So this is really important for me, and I'm going to tell you why. And honestly, it's personal. And it's personal because for me, I have experienced a lot of setbacks, as I'll call them, or what I feel like is a waiting season, not just in my career, but also in my personal life too. So I'm going to give you a few examples of that. The first one came for me that I can think of right off the back of my head is when I was a classroom teacher and I was applying at that time for math coaching positions. I went on like 5 interviews and they were phenomenal, or at least I thought they were phenomenal. And guess what? I didn't get one call back, not one. And so I said, God, if it is your will for me to go back into the classroom for another year, then that is what I will do. However, at that point in my life, I was done. I was done with the classroom at that point in my life. Absolutely over it. And I was ready for something different. And so I said, God, if it's your will, I will go back. However, this is the move that we're trying to make, Lord. And so with that, I left it there. A couple of weeks later, I get a call from the manager of mathematics in my district. Listen, y'all, I had been teaching at that point for about 11 or so years, and I was ready for something different. But I had been preparing myself. I'm going to say that again, to move out of the classroom and into a math coaching position. And so the manager of mathematics called me a couple of weeks later, and she was like, Carmen, we need a math coach at the virtual academy. And if you don't know me, then you might not know this. But if you know me, then you know this. And that tech is my jam. Okay. If it has to do with technology, yes, math is fun. math is cool, but if it has to do with technology, I'm all in. Okay. And anything that has to do with using technology or teaching with technology, it's all me. I remember during my formal observation during COVID, we were virtual. And my principal came to me and she goes, Brown. And I was like, what's up? And she was like, I was explaining to her all of the different technologies that we were going to use during this lesson that she was going to observe. And she was like, and they're going to keep up and you're going to do, how you going to do all that? How? And I was like, don't believe me, just watch. Oh, no, I didn't say that. But when she observed me on during my formal observation, my kids did in fact use every technology that I said that they were going to use during that pre-conference, and they were able to keep up. So tech is my jam. And so when that position at the virtual academy opened up, I was like, yes, God, thank you. This is for me. Okay. But then the very next day, guess what happened? Guess what happened? I got a call from HR, and they actually decided at that point that they were going to rescind their offer for that position. And so at that point in my life, I was like, oh my gosh, here is the job that I've wanted to do for so long. I finally get an opportunity to do it. But now you're telling me that you are rescinding that offer. I cannot tell you in that moment how frustrated I was, how stuck I felt, and how I don't know what the right word to use is, but I was feeling all the feels in that moment. Um, Fast forward a couple of months later, right before schools was ready to start, and they told me that I could only take the math coaching position if I found somebody to fill my position. So my principal at the time, she was like, Carmen, you need this job. This is all you, 100%. And so what I need you to do, we're going to interview and we're going to find somebody to fill that position for you so that you can take the job that you need to be in, because that's where you need to be. And so that's how I got into being a math coach. And let me tell you, that waiting season, those couple of months right after they rescinded that offer were hard. They were difficult. I remember I was upset, my mama was upset because this wasn't like it wasn't a vertical move. It was me moving up. It was more money in my pocket. And all of a sudden, you messing with my money and you messing with my kids. Because when you mess with my money and the money is funny, then you mess with the children too. And I don't play about them boys. I don't play about them boys. And so with that, I was in a waiting season. I am almost certain that you have a story of a time when you were in a waiting season. So that is a school related example. Let me tell you about my 6-year-old, okay? Because this appointment is coming up. So if you didn't know, I have a 6-year-old. His name is Caden. And Caden has what is known as craniosynostosis. And this is how I explain it to kids in the most simplest form. Just like the earth is made of plates, our skulls are made of plates. And for most of us, our skulls don't form together. Those plates don't start to come together until you are later in life, 30s, 40s, some people even 50s. But kids who have craniosynostosis, they are born with or shortly thereafter, their skulls fuse together. Well, what does that mean? If you are a teeny itty itty bitty baby and your skull is fused together, that means that as you grow, your brain doesn't have room to grow. And your brain needs room to grow in order to, to grow with you. And so he was diagnosed with this craniosynostosis back in December of 2019. And we were scheduled for surgery back in February of 2019. I mean, of 2020, excuse me, February of 2020. And whenever I tell this story, people are like, yeah, COVID. No, it wasn't COVID that stopped us. It wasn't COVID that stopped the surgery. As a matter of fact, it was the doctor. It was the entire doctor. But even finding out that we had this diagnosis and the season of waiting that I had to endure between finding out and then my baby, he was 13 months at the time, being scheduled for such an invasive procedure. Y'all, that was hard. That was hard. So if they catch it like by a certain age, they will do a less invasive procedure and then put a helmet on kids. But we were past that less invasive helmet stage. So we were at a stage where their solution, what they wanted to do for us, was called a CVR, or a cranial vault reconstruction. And what a cranial vault reconstruction is where they take pieces of your skull. Well, they do an incision from ear to ear, and they flap your skin over, your scalp over, and then they remove pieces of your skull, restructure them on the table, and then put them back and sew you back up. And so we were scheduled for that surgery on February 20th. February 19th of 2020. And I was prepared. I was ready. I don't know what it was in that waiting season. I was, yes, anxiety ridden, but at the same time, I was calm. And it was in that waiting season, as we were waiting for that surgery, and that I had peace with it, that God stepped in the most major of ways. And so my baby, who was scheduled for this invasive procedure, I got a call one day in the middle of the school day. I was teaching 5th grade at the time, and the doctor was like, or the nurse was like, "Hey, Miss Brown, yeah, we just wanted to inform you that your doctor quit, and so we're gonna have to reschedule that surgery." What? What do you mean the doctor quit and you've got to reschedule my surgery? So we met with a new doctor. Shout out to Dr. Ty at Children's Hospital. We'll see him in a couple weeks. But he looked at my baby, and he looked at my baby's CT scans, and he was like, I don't know. Like, he was like, I don't think that the surgery is necessary. And so we went from waiting for this surgery to happen to simply monitoring and making sure that he was good with no surgery at all. And that was all in this season of waiting. So I want to know, and I'll go back and read the comments later, whether you're watching the replay or not. I want to know about your waiting season. Tell me something that you are waiting for. What are you waiting for God to do in your life? I want to know, because then I'm going to pray for that for you. So let me know, what is it that you are waiting for? What is it that you need to trust in God, trust in the process for? All right, so let's talk about faith and fear, okay? Because one thing about our Proverbs 31 educator, or ourselves as a Proverbs 31 educator is that we have to learn how to walk in faith and not in fear. And so I want you to turn that fear that you're experiencing. I talk to a lot of people, and the number one thing that holds them back is fear. Most people that I talk to, I'm just afraid. I'm scared. I'm whatever of doing the thing that's going to get you to where you want to go. And so I want to talk about faith and fear. So I've heard this said before, and I'm sure you have heard it said before as well, but faith and fear are not that much different. As a matter of fact, if there's something that you are afraid of, if you are experiencing some type of fear, fear is simply faith, but faith in the negative thing to happen. If we are experiencing fear, that just means we are ready for whatever that negative thing to happen is. Why is it that we are waiting and we are just knowing that something negative is going to happen instead of waiting and hoping and getting ready for something good to happen in our lives? That's crazy to me, but it's what we do. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about the 6 forces to fuel your, I'm gonna call it to fuel your faith. The 6 forces to fuel your faith. Now, these 6 things come from this article called "The 6 Forces to Fuel Friendships." So the idea here is that we are making friends with our fear. Okay? The idea is that we are making friends with our fear. We look at fear as if it's an enemy. Like I got to back away because I'm scared, and I can't be afraid of things. But instead of thinking of fear as something negative, I want you to think of fear as your BFF, okay? And that's how we're going to reframe fear and turn it in to faith. Are you ready? All right, there are 6 steps to fuel your faith. You ready? Number 1, when it comes to fear, the first step to fuel your faith, meaning turning that fear into a faith move, is accumulation. Accumulation. What is accumulation? So when I say accumulation, in order to make friends with somebody, you got to spend some time with them. You might not become friends with somebody that you spend 2 minutes with. However, if you spend time with them over time, you're going to start to develop some type of friendship relationship, right? The same thing is true with your fear. I need you to spend time in your fear so that you can turn it into faith. When we start to spend time doing the things that scare us, they don't become scary anymore. How many of you have a business and you're afraid to go live on Instagram or Facebook or whatever your social media platform is of choice? You're afraid that you're going to say the wrong thing, that you're going to look crazy or what have you. But what happens when you start to do that on a regular basis? Accumulation. It doesn't become scary anymore. I'm still trying to get past that one, because no, I'm not about to going live on all the social media platforms. It's kind of scary. Same thing with those of you that know you have a business and you need to be doing webinars. I'm talking to myself for real, but the webinar is coming. But we've got to spend more time doing the things that scare us. Because when we tap into the things that scare us, they aren't as scary anymore. Okay. So that is the first one, accumulation. Spend time doing the thing and spend time doing it on a regular basis. And when you start to feel that fear or that those butterflies, that's feedback. Just keep going. Just keep going. The enemy is trying to stop you. Keep going. The second one is attention. The second one is attention. Fear feeds off your attention. But when you shift from giving fear your attention to walking and what we call intention, fear has the ability to let go. So you are either going to nurture your fear or you're going to nurture your faith. You can't nurture both of them at the same time. You have to be intentional about what it is and give the necessary attention to the things that are going to drive you forward away from the fear. And that brings us to our third one. When we're trying to build friendships, we're very intentional about the things we do, the places we go together, the things that we say. And the same is true as you are reframing your fear into faith, is that you've got to be intentional about the things that you say, the things that you do, and the places that you go. You've got to be intentional about how you take that fear and turn it in to something that stretches you and scares you less. You've got to intentionally invest in the things that bring you fear. Okay? And reframe how you see your fear. Number 4, the next way or the next force to fueling your faith is going to be ritual, meaning that you need some routines, and you need routines around the things that bring you fear. What do I mean by routines around the things that bring you fear? This kind of goes with the first one. If you have time in your schedule, do the things that scare you and build your routines around the things that scare you so that they don't scare you anymore. Also, make it a habit to start saying those things that go against what you're fearing. So let's say you fear, let's just go with going live because that was the example that I gave before. Let's say you fear going live on Instagram. Well, what if we start to write affirmations and we start to say things and program our brains in a way that is against the fear that we're feeling? And what if we made that a part of our morning routine? Or maybe what if every time you decided to go live on Instagram and or do that webinar, that thing that scares you, what if every time you did that, you had a set of affirmations that were ready to go? Let's see. Let's come up with some affirmations. Some affirmations that were ready. You were like, hey, I'm about to go live. Let me look myself in the eyes, in the mirror real quick and say these. Hey, girl, you got this. Hey, girl, you've got a message to give to the world. Hey, girl, God's going to put you in, God has put the people that need to hear this message in place to hear this message. Whatever it is that you need to say, make that a habit and then do the thing. Number 5, I need you to give yourself grace, because some of us, as we start to do the things that scare us, we're going to chicken out. True story. I will call myself out in a heartbeat because I am human. Webinars scare the bejesus out of me. And I have punked myself out of doing a webinar so many times. I had one on the schedule for January, one on the schedule for February, and here we are. It is actually two on the schedule for February. One in my coaching business and then one in my consulting business. But here we are. It is March 25th. How many of those webinars did I actually do? None. Didn't do not near one of them. But here we are. March 25th. We showed up 5 days in a row. We're going to be here 5 days in a row. And that is so I can give you my experience, but we've got to give ourselves grace. And it's okay. It is okay that I got punked out of those webinars in January and February. That was 3. Got punked out of 3 webinars in January and February, but it's not happening again because here we are showing up yet again, which is something that you can do. Show up, but give yourself grace. And if you, so for some reason, you back out of whatever it is that you said you wanted to do, that's okay. Give yourself grace. Let it be feedback. Pick yourself back up and do it again. And the last way that we're going to reframe or the force that we're going to use to fuel our faith is creating a shared value with our friendships and with our friendship with fear. Fear often shows up when you are right here at your next level. All right, so here's your next level right here, and you right here. So guess what? Well, you here, you're good, you chilling, you chilling, fear's coming, fear's coming, fear's coming, fear's coming to stop you. I need you to keep going. I need you to keep going. I know that the waiting season is difficult. I get it. I understand, but I need you to keep going. The last thing I want to talk about this evening is, again, the waiting season. The waiting season. Like I said, I know the waiting season is difficult, but what if your waiting season is not you waiting? What if it's not you waiting at all? What if your waiting season is God waiting? And when I say that, God is waiting for you to take that next bold action. Maybe God has already given you the thing and told you the thing that he wants you to do, but he's waiting on you to be obedient. He's waiting for he's waiting for swift obedience from you so that he can make the next move and show you the next step to take. What if your waiting season is just trusting God enough to move? Trusting him just enough to take that next step. Listen, verse 25. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and her position is strong and secure. And she smiles at the future, knowing that she and her family are prepared. Go ahead and take action. Get prepared because God is waiting. Your waiting season is getting ready to come to an end because you're getting ready to take the next steps, the bold action that you need to take in order to move out of that waiting season. This just had me think of something really quickly. So here we are last week as educators. Last week, the president decided to sign another executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. And I know for a lot of us that can present a level of anxiety depending on the role that you are in and the programs that are impacted by these decisions. There is a lot of anxiety that has come out of this. And I was looking in my what do you call that? One of my group chats with my friends who are also math coaches like me, and they were like, "What do you think is going to happen to our jobs?" And they're talking about being scared, but we can't be scared, okay? Just like verse 25 says, I need you to smile at the future because nothing happens by chance. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything that happens, whether it be your title, your job title being removed, whether it be your job lets you go, nothing. Let me get in here close. Nothing happens by accident. It's not a coincidence. It's all a part of God's providence. We don't know what is on the other side of that bold move. We don't know what is on the other side. All God asks us to do is to trust him and to make the next step and to take the next step. The last verse 30 says, charm and grace are deceptive, but a woman who fears the Lord, reverently worshiping. So I need you to worship. Reverently obeying. I just talked about moving quickly, obedience. Serving. So that means don't stop working. Just keep going at it and trusting him with all the respect in the world. She is the one that's going to be praised. I want to leave you with that this evening. Don't give up if you're in the waiting season. Don't stop if you're in the waiting season. Keep working. Keep serving with dignity, with honor, with all the things. Just keep going. God is waiting on you to take your next bold move so that he can move you into your next level. All right, let's do a quick recap. Number one, we talked about being stuck in our waiting season. We also talked about the 6 forces to fuel your faith. The 6 forces to fuel your faith. And finally, not giving up in the waiting season. God is waiting on you. Your waiting season is something as simple as God waiting for you to take the next step. So that, my friends, brings me to your homework for this evening. Day 2. I want you to identify one. What is that bold step that you need to take and move forward in faith? What is it that God is asking you to do? And do it. That's all I want to. That's what it is. Well, if there's a phone call that you need to make, if there's a survey that you need to send out, because that's what I'm gonna do when I when this is over this evening. Whatever it is, whatever God is telling you to do, I need you after you watch this to go do it, and then let us know how it went in the Facebook group. That's all. I feel like that is simple enough. And that is all for this evening, you guys. I hope that when you watch the replay, that you'll have the opportunity to really dive into the scriptures and the 6 forces that fuel your faith. I hope you have the most amazing evening ever. Go out there, be great, and take some bold action. Love ya.